Hello, my name is Danielle Frank. I come from the Hupa and Yurok Tribes in what is now known as Northern California. I come from the Hupa villages of Metdilden and Sewanalden and the Yurok village of Hontananting, located along the Trinity and Klamath rivers in Northern California. Coming to COP16, the story that I most wanted to bring is one of triumph, something that my people haven't always been able to celebrate, especially not the last few hundred years. We are currently performing and moving towards the restoration process of the largest dam removal and river restoration project in world history, known as the Klamath Dam Removal Project. We're removing 4 hydroelectric dams off of our river, opening more than 400 plus miles of habitat for salmon, which are a keystone species in our territories, as well as in our culture. And so we're very excited to share with other Indigenous communities, environmentalists, and the overall everyone who's fighting for rivers and biodiversity to just know that the decades of work and generations of work is paying off, and we are freeing our river and our salmon are returning home for the first time in over a century. We really want to share with the world that our places are resilient and that they can come back and they can provide for us once more. We just have to protect them and free them.
What do you find most challenging at COP? By the sounds of it, you've been at quite a few of them. So I'm curious about what kind of challenges you're facing as a Indigenous youth.
Yeah, COP, it always really bums me out that there's so many greenwashers walking around these spaces claiming to be fixing our world. It's so hard to hear in the negotiations. There's always this talk about this magic amount of dollar bills that's going to fix our planet, and that's just not true. The money that is so that this whole entire thing surrounds is coming from the exploitation of Indigenous territories, Indigenous lands, Indigenous cultures. So that's a difficulty that I face is when it comes to the negotiations and the so-called solutions that they come up with. It's these funds and these amounts of money that are going to fix these different things, when in reality that's just not the solution. Unless that money's being invested into Indigenous communities who are leveraging their traditional knowledge to put that those exploited dollars back into restoration of land, restoration of community, and restoration of culture. The dollars are not going to work. And trying to explain that to the finance folks walking around these rooms and trying to, explain that to the folks who are building hydropower and mega dams in order to provide electricity is very hard, because the solution is going back to what was sacred, going back to the lands that provided for everybody, to communities that provided for all, not this 1% that controls our entire planet. And so when I come here, I feel somewhat like a translator, trying to translate the values in my community of having enough to share versus, the modern day, we call it the American dream at home of having so much that you'll never have to worry. It's kind of sickening to me. And so that's the challenge I face, is how do we make sure that the rest of the world can understand that materialism isn't the plan, isn't the ideology, isn't the goal. The goal is community and, investment in each other, and not just, like I said, this 1% who controls these meetings and most of our negotiations.
Hell yes. One of the themes that I've been asking people in my interviews is around solidarity and allyship. And I'm wondering if you can share your thoughts on that, being in Colombia.
My favorite part of COP, and what's brought me to 5 of them, is getting to meet with other Indigenous people, river-based communities, people who are showing up for their places and who understand these ideologies that I have, who I don't have to sit and explain myself to, but I can sit and vision quest with. We can listen to stories and we can talk to each other about what our future could look like and these dreams that we do have. And so the solidarity and allyship that the UN space brings between Indigenous folks is what has me here, is what excites me about COP. It's something that I just see immense value in. I know that where I come from, our tribes work together, and if all of us as Indigenous people rally together, then we can actually fight these large corporations and these monsters who are essentially hunting us, and we can educate the world, and we can provide a better future. But because together we're always stronger than we are apart, and I'm very excited to be contributing to that.